Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, we're back at it again. And Marco, I just want to let everybody out there know that this Fighters Rep podcast is going to start being live, right? Today's is not live, but this is going to go live every Friday and Tuesday. We're going to be doing this around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I'm thinking more towards 8 o'clock. So what do you think about that? You think we can get that done?
I think that would be exciting.
I love it. And today we are going to be talking about none other than the top 5 hot prospects heading into Fighters Rep 15. Of course, Marco, we already did our breakdown of Fighters Rep 14. It was hot. A bunch of people watched it. The fans loved it. We got to give them more, right? Because what is a promotion, Marco, that doesn't promote its fighters?
I agree.
You know, it doesn't work out that way. So we'll get right into it, man. I mean, we've already got an absolutely stacked to the gills card with 18 with 18 fights already. We may be looking at 19 or 20 when all is said and done. And when I say stacked, I mean absolutely stacked. But, you know, let's get into it. Top 5 prospects. If you want to cheat and add a couple more, I won't be mad at you. But I kind of wanted to get your point of view first, and then we'll talk about mine because I can't be selfish, Marco. We got to let other people talk. Can't always be me, brother.
I hear you, George.
So you know, you were there. You were there at Fighters Rep 14. It was crazy. There was some incredible fights. There was some incredible moments. Let me know who you think is, you know, the 5 ones to watch going into Fighters Rep 15 on September 3rd, by the way.
So on September 3rd, you got to start with who's the hottest guy out there right now. And when I think about who's the hottest prospect, we're gonna take Joshua Caldwell, who's our 172 pound, and we're gonna put him to the side. Obviously, he's the hottest, but because he's the champion on the card, I'm not going to count him on this list. Doesn't mean I don't think he's the hottest guy out there.
Right.
Right now, the guy who's a stud.
Let me write that down, though. Caldwell. I got to put Caldwell in there.
The guy who's a stud right now, Raymond Martinez.
Oh, my goodness.
He's got 3 fights, 3 tremendous performances, but they've gotten better and better. And this third one was just out of this world, man. I mean, like, just a dominant, aggressive. The number one thing I noticed is that he took his coach's words. It seemed like that one bell mentality, and he took it to heart. And he took
shout out to Coach Rage and Coach Joseph Claycomb.
Yeah,
out of Claycomb Karate.
Those guys are doing an excellent job over there with Michael and Ray.
Absolutely.
That's definitely my hottest prospect. After him, I'm gonna have to go with the kid who's climbing the ranks. He just started. He's going into probably his last fight with gear on, and that's Jason Granado. I mean, he's to me the best young prospect in a while that we had. He's very exciting to watch. He's got a good style. He seems like he wants to be have a good personality on camera, and he hypes himself. He's not afraid to put himself out there. I like that as a fan.
Certainly. I mean, he's certainly got a lot of momentum behind him.
Numbers 3 and 4. These guys just came off a fight with each other.
Wait a minute. You said, so you haven't counted Caldwell yet.
I didn't count Caldwell.
Okay. Go ahead.
Caldwell to the side on my list.
Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
Because he's the champ.
I'll let you slide on that one.
It's because he's the champ. I couldn't do it this time.
Got you.
Number 3 and 4 are the hottest prospects. Is actually a kid who's fighting for us for the 3rd time, David Marquez. I love watching that kid fight. I love his name. I love the Death Dealer on Instagram. That's just an awesome tag.
He's exciting, man. He's exciting.
And then his opponent, Ralph Sanchez. I mean, that guy brought the fire. I want to see him again. I thought that kid was very exciting.
Do you see who he's fighting?
Off the top of my head, I've seen who he was fighting, and I know y'all was supposed to look at the list, and now I'm blanking. Who's he fighting?
Gustavo Tebo Flores, brother.
How can you not be excited?
Oh
Gustavo
God!
Flores coming off a big win off of Phil Wong.
Oh God! I just got tingles up and down my body thinking about Gustavo Flores versus Ralph Sanchez. No, nobody should feel this way. I mean, I guess when you're a promoter, you can feel this way, or a fight fan. But nobody should feel this way about two men in a ring. Nobody should feel this way about two men fighting each other in the ring. And I don't mean to interrupt. I'm going to let you go now. But, man, how delicious is that fight between Tebo Flores and Ralph Sanchez after what we saw at Fighters Rep 14 and 13.
You know, and I look at the list of the fights that's got to be at least top 4 in the top 4 of the fights. If not, I always want to see the champ. There's a big one on there I'm sure you're ready to talk about. And then right up there is Ralph Sanchez versus Flores. Flores is such an exciting fight.
My God.
Yeah, and then the last one's actually a fighter that maybe you're not thinking about, but I really liked watching him. I thought he had a great fight. He opened the card, and that's Sanchez. His fight against Melvin's had some bad luck the last couple fights, but Melvin's a dog. Melvin can get in there, scrap. Sanchez looked really good. He was popping him a lot. He hung in there, hung in the pocket. They had a great fight. I can't wait to watch Sanchez fight again.
Yeah. No, these are all exceptionally hot prospects that you pointed out. And, Sanchez impressed me. He really impressed me, man. He didn't really have the experience Melvin had. Right. As far as amateur bouts, Melvin had a couple more, but, and Melvin comes to, fight all the time. We already know that. That kid's an animal. And, but I don't know, whatever Jason Caldwell is doing, also combined with the athletic ability of Sanchez, I mean, I just think his hands were really, I would say, above average speed, well above average. I mean, the kid's hand speed was very impressive. So, that combined with being coached with Jason Caldwell, who at Fighters Rep has, I think, demonstrated to the community that he's one of the best coaches around, period. I mean...
I don't think he's had a dud fight.
No.
Since we started coaching there, since we started having his guys. The only one I can think of who didn't come away with the win was Jesse Batista, and he had a great fight with Sadarov.
He did.
They had a great fight together.
He did, and Sadarov is no joke, and guess what? He's back on this card coming up.
Yeah.
And he's taking on Ahmed Zidane, the kid that got the decision win against Khalil Silva at Fighters Rep 13. So this one is delicious, my brother.
Yeah. I agree.
So,
I like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, nothing to say about Caldwell. I mean, I know you set him aside, but, I'm sure you got some sort of comment about it.
You know how I feel about Caldwell, man. I think he's the best boxer out there right now in the amateur level. Yeah. I think from the time we first saw him, it's about who he's fought. He fought good fighters all along. He hasn't fought a bum. He looked really good against Zoller. He looked really good in his first fight against David Rivera. In his second fight when he fought Cam Spencer, I thought that was
he moved up to 185. He moved up to 185 for that fight. Keep that in mind too.
Went up to 185 and fought a guy who could knock you out in one punch.
Right.
Right. And they did a great job boxing. Whether you gave him the fight or you didn't, I thought he did a great job boxing in that fight.
Yeah.
Showing the craft and the skill. That's how I saw the fight. Man, I just mentioned Cam Spencer. You know how much I love Cam Spencer.
For sure. And he's on this card too. And if you guys don't know, Cam Spencer is taking on Raymond Martinez for the Fighters Rep light cruiserweight title. It's going to be absolutely insane, that fight. That fight by itself, in my opinion, is going to be worth the price of admission because Raymond's Raymond's coming to fight. He's bringing it. And Cam is not one to back down either, and Cam has got an impressive skill set and athleticism. Raymond's got an impressive skill set and crazy aggression. And both guys are going to be cutting down to 185 and coming into that Lions Den maybe around 190, 200 pounds at the very least. And I don't know if that fight goes the distance. I mean, does that fight go the distance?
I can't see a world where it does. But what's crazy is we booked this fight already. You booked this fight 2 fights ago. He was supposed to fight he was supposed to fight Ray Martinez 2 fights ago.
Right.
And you ended up giving the fight against Caldwell.
Right.
The fight against Caldwell. And I remember when you first booked that fight, I didn't know if Ray was ready because Ray had only had 1 fight, I believe, before that. And Cam was on his 3rd fight. Like I said, he had a little bit more experience. He was power punching. I go, I don't know. Now, woo, that's a 50-50. Oh, man, that's a 50-50
My goodness.
fight.
Do you see
and
these
it's not
because
Cam took a step back. That's because Ray got that much better.
He did. And it's not like Cam didn't. I mean,
no.
Even though he came up short according to the judges against Caldwell, a lot of people thought Cam won that fight.
A lot of
people thought Caldwell won that fight. That fight could have gone either way. And Cameron Spencer's a real problem. But as we saw in his last performance, especially, so is Raymond Martinez. He's just getting better too. And my goodness, I mean, that was one of the most emphatic knockouts we've had in a while. I mean, there were a lot of knockouts on that last card, but impressive ones. But man, that was one of them that really stood out for me.
I just don't see how that fight can be boring. Both guys got power. Both guys have knockouts. Both guys throw with a lot of power.
Yeah.
I don't see either one becoming a master boxer and trying to move and get away. I see them both coming like 2 trains coming for each other. And I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, I just feel like Ray, you saw how aggressive he was in his last fight against Brandon. He's just coming, man. He's just coming. He's getting more comfortable. Now he's got the headgear off and the shin guards off.
Woo!
And he can just hunt. And, Cameron Spencer, big, strong, fast, athletic. But, Raymond obviously has all that stuff too. I mean, definitely heavy-handed. I mean, that was a one-hitter quitter he landed in that last fight, man. And he set it up beautifully. So I get, again, this fight gets me real excited. I mean, a lot of the fights on this card, I'm gonna venture to say, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think this is gonna be the best card we've ever had up until this point. I know I say that all the time.
So far it has been.
But my goodness, and I've been right every time. If you see the fights on this card, and if you know the fighters like we do, you're going to have to agree. So okay, we got your top 5 and your bonus, which is Caldwell at the very top, the champion, and then the top 5. I like that. For me, it's very similar, Marco. Obviously, it's very similar. We're still looking for a matchup for Caldwell. I'm trying to close on one by the end of this weekend. I've got a couple interested people that want to take that fight. And obviously, I think he's one of the hottest prospects coming out of FightersRep 14 into FightersRep 15. And what's very exciting for me is to see what he's turned into now that he's got that belt around his waist. I feel like he's going to level up in confidence and in ability and in skill, maybe 25-30%. With that belt wrapped around his waist. And I'm really excited to see what kind of fighter he looks like in this next iteration. And Caldwell, and I told Jason this, his coach. Caldwell, guys like Caldwell, guys like Connor Bracken, guys like Hamza Trod, guys like Edgar Zeragos. I mean, these are guys that we've essentially built, right? We've essentially built, for the most part, the majority of them, I think, especially in their last 3 or 4 outings, and the level of activity and their willingness to fight anyone. And, they're kind of just they're just absorbing and going with the flow that is kind of the Fighters Rep mantra, right? Which is stay active. Let us continue to find you fights every 2 or 3 months. In between, get better, right? Heal up, get better, and get back in there. And you've seen what these guys have turned into, right? You've seen what Connor Bracken has turned into, 2 knockouts in a row. You've seen what Joshua Caldwell has turned into with that incredible body shot finish for a title in his last fight. Yeah. You know, you've seen what Hamza Trad has turned into. He's fought for us 3 times. You've seen Edgar Zaragoza. You've seen, guys like this. So, Jason Granado even. So, I'm just very excited about Caldwell. I think he's definitely one of the hottest prospects to watch. And it pains me to call him a prospect. He's a champion at this point, but you know what I mean by prospect, kind of the one to watch going into the next event. I also got to agree with you on Raymond Martinez, man. Raymond Martinez is another guy who's just taken this thing to heart, man. I mean, he's just taken the one bell mentality that his coach has taught him, everything that Joseph Claycomb has taught him, and all the opportunities that we've been allowed to present to him, he's taken them in stride, and like you said, he's getting better with every fight.
Yeah. With
every fight, he just looks better and more dangerous, and he was just an absolute psychopath in that last fight. I mean, that was it, and I mean that in a good way. I mean, afterwards, he was yelling at me to give him a title shot, and I want to throw my wallet at him. I just take whatever you want, you know what I mean? So I think Raymond Martinez definitely one to watch. Look, Cameron Spencer is also one to watch, man. I mean, if there's another judge sitting ringside, then that's potentially 4 wins in a row at Fighters Rep. Cameron Spencer's one to watch for sure. Yeah. So that's why I'm like super excited about that fight. I think Jason Granado, I don't know, Jason Granado for me, he's just got this thing about him, man. He's got this swag about him. He's this young, hungry lion, and I'm very excited to see what he does in this next fight because he's going up against a new team that we're working with, right? And the head coach over there, I believe it's Engage MMA, is Chris Manzo, and he's sending me a kid by the name of Isaiah Jackson to go up against Jason Granado. And I think there's some history between the camps. And, Manzo is an MMA gym. His gym is an MMA gym, but they concentrate on striking. And I must say, these kids that he's got look very impressive. They look very tough. And so I think this fight between Granado and Jackson, it's definitely going to be one to watch out for. But since we haven't had Jackson fight for us before, I would say Granado is definitely a prospect to watch based on his past couple performances and the way he's leveling up.
Yeah.
So Caldwell, Martinez, Granado, Spencer. Listen, Tebo Flores, man. Tebo Flores versus Ralph Sanchez. I mean, Tebo is a guy, he's had multiple fights with us as well. We've had a real hand in building this guy's career, and you saw him in that fight against Phil Wong. I mean, that was the craziest, most entertaining fight that I think we had at Fighters Rep 13. And then before that, at Fighters Rep 12, he went to war.
That's what I was going to bring up.
He went to war. So every time he's out there, and he went to war against Fabian Hernandez, shout out to him. So every time he's out there, he's also getting acclimated to this rule set, bringing excitement. Because he's a Muay Thai fighter. He's out of Blitz Muay Thai. But I think, he's been in the Lions Den enough now to where, he's starting to get acclimated to this rule set. And it's a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty to watch. And, if you saw Tebo's last fight with us, again, Fighters Rep 13, I mean, my God, Marco, the crowd was going absolutely insane chanting his name. Tebo, Tebo. I still hear it in my head, Tebo. And he just got that finish in the first round against Phil Wong. And that was just beautiful. And so, it pains me to limit it to these 5 guys. I also, I'll throw one more in there, man. I do think David Marquez, like you said, is super exciting. But I mean, there's a lot of exciting guys on here, and any of them. I mean, look, there's got to be a lot of incredible fights on this card, man. You can also, if you're talking about guys with history at FightersRep, guys that we've helped build up, Khosrow Sadarov is on this card.
Right.
He's had all but one of his fights with us, and this is going to be an incredible fight against Ahmed Zidane, the kid that, got the victory over Khalil Silva at FightersRep 13. Khalil Silva is on this card against one of Chris Manzo's fighters, the one that I just talked about from Engage MMA. And his name is Michael. They call him Mook Mitchell. And he's a very exciting fighter as well. We know Khalil is always exciting to watch. People want to see what he does, man. He's explosive, and he came up short against Ahmed Zidane, but I obviously a huge reason for that is the difference in experience. He had a lot of courage, I think, to take a fight against a guy with almost double the experience he had, and he held
fight that he took on weigh-in day.
He took it on like an hour or 2 hours notice. So, or day before notice, whatever it was. So, I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see Zidane. I'm excited to see Michael Claycomb, Sugar Bomb Claycomb, taking on Albert Tadeo, who's been fighting for us since FightersRep 1, Marco, and is coming off a win. And with Claycomb coming off a draw, I'm super excited to see what the result is going to be in that fight, right? And then we've got these guys from Buena Park Martial Arts Academy, Hadi Sukkar, Steven Fernandez, Diego Gonzalez, and Diego Gonzalez is taking on Irvin Wynn, who I don't know if you remember, but is just he's had 2 fights with us in the past. He just comes out and he just goes to war, man. I mean, he just tries to get you out of there as soon as possible. So, I'm very excited about that. We've got Mario Sanchez coming back. We've got James Liu coming back. We've got Mateo Ruiz coming back. He's, he came up short in his first fight against Jason Granado in both of their debut fight. But guess what? He's just 17 years old, and he was putting up a fight against Jason Granado, who's a couple years older than him. What's this Mateo Ruiz going to turn into? And he's going to be taking on James Liu. So, I mean, and then, a new camp that I forgot to mention, Huntington Beach Fight Club. We got Coach Johnny Mercurio. He's sending us a kid by the name of Milshan Lathan, who's undefeated in amateur fights and point kickboxing. I'm very excited to see what he does. And we've also got Ian Holloway out of that camp. And then Sonny Corona, who got a quick finish, who got a very quick finish at our last event. So, Marco, man, I'm telling you, this one,
I think that's going to be the name on the next show, on the next after FightersRep 15.
I don't even know.
He picks up a win. I think Sonny Corona is going to be one of the hottest prospects. He had a following behind him. He was at the end of the card. There were still a lot of people cheering his name.
Yeah.
He comes from Team Black House. That's a good gym.
And Ian Holloway, man, I mean, looks like a very good fighter trained by Johnny Mercurio. So I'm excited.
It's good to have these new gyms coming to us, man. It's good that you're really building the brand, and all these guys are trusting their fighters and your promotion.
I love it, man. I appreciate that. And you know what I'm really excited about too, Marco?
What's that?
So, Coach Eric Carr, big shout out to him. He's also sending us a kid by the name of Joel Kelly, who's going to be taking on D'Angelo Gianni, right? And it's going to be the first time we get an amateur from the legendary Los Angeles Muay Thai on the card through D'Angelo Gianni. And, of course, the head of that school is David Huerta, and one of the instructors is Chris Cully, who's now one of our commentators. So I'm going to be really, really excited to see, to be working with their amateurs and to have, Chris Cully alongside David Huey calling the fights. That's going to be a lot of fun, man. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Man, something before we go, George, I just want to bring up, man, we talked about gyms being MMA gyms. the biggest fights right now, one of the biggest fights they're talking about in MMA and the UFC is two kickboxers.
Right.
It's Adesanya, Michelle Pereira. Everyone's talking
Yeah.
about that. And it goes back to what we put on. We put on kickboxing, which is one of the most exciting fights styles that you can watch. All action, and it just shows how good this style is. If it's the biggest fight that can be made right now, I think it's something that a lot of people want to see. You can come watch it, a lot cheaper than you would going to a UFC fight. It'd be just as entertaining coming down to Commerce Casino, catching FightersRep, catching on the live stream.
Just as entertaining. Come on, man. Our guys stand and bang, man.
Better because you're gonna watch it up close and personal. To the championship fight.
You told me you had more fun at our event than at the last UFC event you went to, so I'm gonna hold you to that for the rest of your life.
Nah, let's be honest, man. Like, I had a dud time at that UFC event.
Dang.
And I'm a UFC fanatic, man.
Yeah.
I think FightersRep shows it's just one good fight right after the other, and they're matched up evenly. It's just a good show to come to.
And I'm not, obviously I'm not going to say we're better than the UFC, but it's a completely different sport. I think it's a much faster pace. There's no grappling. There's no going to the ground. And so I think it's, the best striking show on earth. If you're into striking, if you're into guys just standing up, banging it out, if you're into a show, if you're into entertainment, if you're into good food, if you're into great drinks, if you're into lights and a good time and smoke and production, and we're gonna have all of that at the next FightersRep. We got a special opening ceremony at this next event. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna have another show during the intermission. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna make it exciting for our fans. We're gonna make it worth your money. So definitely come out. Go to FightersRep.com. Get your tickets at FightersRep.com, or you can just click the link below and get your tickets. If you can't make it to the fight, there's no excuse. They should be able to make it, Marco. They could spend the night at the Commerce Casino Hotel, fly out, come watch it, leave. But if they can't make it, you guys can catch the live stream. Also, the link below or at FightersRep.com. All you got to do is join this channel and for $9.99 a month, and you get to watch the live stream. And, of course, don't forget to subscribe below. Subscribe, join the channel, get your FightersRep merch. Get some shirts like me and Marco have on. That's how you help support the promotion so we can continue to build this promotion for these young fighters, man. It's not, it's not just about making money. It's about building for these fighters so they can make some money. So we can attract some big names and big sponsors and get these guys paid more. So that's what it's all about, guys. So, we appreciate you subscribing, liking this video, sharing it with your friends, so on and so forth. Marco, thank you again so much for your time, man. I love doing these things with you, man. What do you say, 8 o'clock on Fridays and Tuesdays if we can do it? What do you think?
That sounds good to me, George.
For sure. And Knucklehead Nation, follow Marco at Fight Life Nation on Instagram. You can see the handle right there underneath his picture. Follow us on Instagram and social media at FightersRep on all social media outlets. And again, subscribe and don't miss this. Don't miss this next event, man. Get your ticket. You're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be so much action, so much fun over at the Commerce Casino. I appreciate you guys joining us. Marco, anything you want to say before we sign off here, brother?
That's all I got today, George, man. Can't wait for the fight.
Appreciate you, brother. And thank you, guys. Thank you, Knucklehead Nation. We'll be in touch soon. Be sure to let us know what you think in the comments below. Have a good night.